$1,000 haircut sounds insane. I'm not broke, but I've never paid $1,000 for a haircut. What are people actually paying for?
I don't think it's specifically because of the fact that I'm like doing the best haircuts in the world, but I think it's the full picture. It's the social media recognition. It's the way I communicated. It's my skill set. It's all of it together.
What had to change about you before you could actually start charging more?
Trustworthiness shouldn't necessarily come from the actual results itself, but seeing if the person's consistently doing it.
Why do so many talented people fail when they try to make content? Alexi, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm so good. I'm so happy that you agreed to do this. Like, you're the best because I asked you and you were just like down immediately.
100%.
Fuck, man, that's great. That's great. I really appreciate it. You know, it's funny because you and I actually met over text before we actually met in person.
Yes.
And the landlord of our building that we're both in, and just so everybody knows, Alexi and I are next door neighbors at our offices are beside each other. And so for those of you who've been following for a bit, you know, I have a man cave. Alexi's got his own cave. What would you call your cave?
Definitely not a man cave.
It's not a man cave, but it's something.
It kind of feels like a cathedral at this point. It's like a church inside.
I don't know what kind of cave you call it, but the amount of girls coming in and out of your place, man, I don't know, man. You're
going to get me in trouble right now.
No, listen, I don't know. No, it all looks very professional, you know, because I see it in your content, and I see that, you know, you're obviously conducting business. You're shooting like a ton of content there on a regular basis. So that's, you know, that's great. You also, the other connection you and I have. So we got connected by text through our landlord. Right. I had actually heard that you were coming because I heard there's this like superstar barber. I went to go check you out. I hadn't heard of you before because I don't have any hair.
Exactly.
Right. So I haven't had the services of a barber in some time. I thought I do get my beard taken care of.
Yeah.
And so you and I were chatting. I was so impressed, first of all, with your, you know, with what you had going on, with what you do have going on, and I was also just really like I was really excited about the fact that you were also coming from Toronto.
Yeah.
Because I had walked that path 5 years ago. May 6th will be 5 years that we moved here. And so now you're here. So like, first of all, like, you know, take me through like this move. Like what happened there that you like, just like, fuck it, I'm coming to Miami.
Yeah, man, it's funny. This is kind of like the second time I've done this. And before we get into it, I just want to say I'm super grateful that you also wanted me to be on this show because I know you bring some very high-level entrepreneurs and big-level people in your network.
As you are a high-level entrepreneur
and
a high-level people.
Thank you, man. But this is the second time, you know, when I was 19, I made the move. You know, I come from an Armenian background. You know, my family, it's very... Like, I don't know if you know Armenians and Lebanese people, but family is very important.
Yeah.
So, like, leaving the family and going to another city is like committing a crime to them.
So, but you had started not in Toronto. I remember you telling me when we were chatting. So
Montreal.
You're from Montreal.
So, born and raised in Montreal till I was about 18, 19, and then I made the move to Toronto. And I made the move after, like, so my mom passed away, then my grandmother raised me. So, you know, family got even tighter because they were trying to protect me. I was like the child they were trying to protect. So when I made the decision and I told everyone in the family, I was leaving, they couldn't believe it. Plus, they didn't really believe it because I was kind of raised by my family, like laundry, dishes, food, it was all in front of my face.
Yeah.
So when they said, I'm going to go and live on my own, they didn't understand and didn't believe me. So I did that. And that ended up becoming the best decision of my life.
Moving to Toronto.
Yeah. And I stayed there for about 10 years, and that has a story of its own.
Sorry. I apologize. I gotta stop this for a second. You're a young guy. You're in your 20s.
28, yeah.
You're 28. So you left home at 18.
18, yeah.
To move to Toronto by yourself to a completely different city.
Yeah, I took a Honda and drove it.
And where were you born? You were born in Canada?
Born in Canada.
You were born in Canada.
Born in Laval. So
in Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to say something about that is that, like, most Canadian people that I know, and my history is that I was in Canada since I was 3 years old up until 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And most Canadian people I know, like, they don't do that. At least the ones that I know.
Same.
They don't go at 18.
It's the same for me.
Because Canada's a bit of a different culture. Like, I know people from Russia who left when they were teenagers to come to another country. Like, they came to Canada. There was a big immigration. But you, like, 18 in Canada, it's not. So what gave you that courage to say, like, fuck it, I'm out from Montreal and going to Toronto?
That's a great question, by the way. I think that what gave me that courage is before I made the move to Toronto, I went to London. So that was already the biggest.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that as well.
I went to one of the best schools in the world. And the person that taught me, if you know hairdressing or if you look at chefs, right? It was, imagine I got trained by the best sushi chef in the world, but no one recognized him at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So this guy is like the best of the best in the barbering world, in the hairdressing world for men.
How did you get like how did you find this guy, and
So-
why did he accept you from like
Yeah.
coming from Canada?
So this
and how
is
old were
when
you?
I was 18.
Sorry, this is
17, 18. Yeah.
So Montreal to London.
Yes. That was the first big jump.
Okay, so hold on. Let's pause for a
Yeah,
second
yeah.
because there was one piece of content that I found of yours, because I have a criticism of you professionally.
Yeah.
Is that you don't share kind of enough of who you are. Like I see
Yeah.
you as this like massive professional
Right.
in your trade and in your like in your field. But I was like, because I got to know you, you know, because we're neighbors and we talk, I didn't feel it was represented in your content enough until I found this one reel. I want to read the copy that you had overlaid on top of that. You know the reel I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, 2012, my mom passed away after a long battle with cancer. Everything went quiet. 2013, my dad left the family and moved with my grandmother. I felt unwanted, like I didn't belong anywhere. 2014, I was angry all the time, short-tempered, numb. I didn't know who I was. I just knew I didn't want to feel this anymore. I found hair, not because I was good, but because it gave me something to focus on. I had $0, so I went into debt and flew to London. You were 18 at the time.
Yeah.
This was the first time I felt alive again. I enjoyed it, but I sucked. No comfort, no safety net, sectioning, layering, graduation. It's a term, technical term. Again and again and again. I built a barber shop, turned it into one of the biggest in Toronto. During COVID, I built a community. It became a family. We changed lives again and again. From $0, we built a 7-figure business in under a year. I built a skill, then a name, then a community. It started with loss, it ended with purpose. So that was my criticism of you, is that you don't share enough. But then I saw that and I was like, okay. I was thinking that over again. Okay, so take me back to...
So the timelines, yeah.
Yeah.
So 17, 18, I found this guy on Instagram. His name's Josh LaMonica. He's like by far the best, in my opinion, in the barbering world. And the reason why I was very fortunate, I was one of the first people to ever notice this on Instagram and take a decision off social media to go and invest and fly to London. Why? Is because my entire career, I come from a fashion background as well. I had my own clothing line at 14. I sold a piece of garment to J Balvin. Wow. And that was kind of the big break I had. I was like, holy shit, maybe there is something I could do with, like, there's a skill set. Maybe there's something I could do in my life. Because that was the first time in my life where I got recognized for something or felt like a bit of a win. Because my whole life I was like bullied, and like my life was kind of, my mom passed away. So there was a lot of trials and tribulations leading up to that point. And I felt like when I went into the barbering world, it was quite limiting. I mean, I'm sure you know traditional barbers, all they know how to do is fades. And that's quite limiting. You're not creative. There's not much technique that goes into it. And when I realized this individual started posting haircuts of like longer hair and styling and like David Beckham styles, I was like, wow, there's something a lot more to hair that I wanted to learn. And that was the first time that got introduced to me. So I made the decision right there and then to go to London. And that was kind of like Pandora's box. And why I went to Toronto, which I'm going to explain in a minute, is because I was the first Canadian with 2 other guys that went to that class. And this was the first time they ever opened the class internationally for like a 3-day program. Because a lot of the programs were 6 months. And for me to go to London for 6 months is very costly.
Yeah.
So then I got introduced to these 2 guys from Toronto named Peter and Dylan, which is Glassbox Barbershop, which now is like the biggest in Canada. And that was kind of the start of the journey of like building my career in Toronto.
Okay. You didn't become this disciplined by accident.
No.
Okay.
No.
What were you running from, or what were you running towards?
I think pain had to do with it. You know, I felt like even playing hockey my whole life and being Russian as well. My dad's Russian.
Yeah.
I felt like I was fortunate where like my dad pushed me to like the limits. You know, he got the best figure skating coaches for me at a very young age. And I could always hear in the back of my head, like, it's not enough, like harder. And I think because of that, and even my family sometimes would be like, you're not skating fast enough, you're not playing hard enough. I think there was like kind of a switch that was ingrained in my brain of like...
How old were you when this pressure
12, 11, 10, 11, 12.
So I need some advice from you as a dad. Like, I want to push my kids, but I don't want to push them to breaking points where they get stressed out. What's that? How do you... I mean, obviously, it worked with you, where your dad, he found. Well, no, but it did, because the end result was like, here you are.
So let me put it this way: the compromise as a father, in my opinion, I'm not a father, but the relationship with my father wasn't as good because of the fact that we would always butt heads. He would push me really hard, and I would fight back. But if I look back now, a lot of that is instilled to me to this day. So I'm also like grateful that I was pushed that hard. You know what I mean? So at the same time, it's like, what is your goal? You know, like what are you trying to achieve with your child? I think is the question.
I'll tell you what I'm trying to achieve with my kids, with our kids, our 3 boys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to achieve that they're capable after I'm dead. Because after I'm dead, I'm not around to like bail them out. I'm not around to teach them the lessons. So I want to make sure I do a good enough job that once I'm gone, these guys are on their own and they're self-sufficient. That's my goal.
There needs to be compromise, and sometimes they might not like you for a week, a day, a month.
I'm cool with that because, you know, at the end of the day, my top priority is them being capable. My second priority is that they love me.
Right.
So in that order, then we got to do as dads what we got to
Exactly.
do. And it seems like with your dad, I mean, I also had a turbulent relationship with my dad,
Yeah.
but at the end, it's like, you know, I think I did reasonably. I think I'm doing reasonably well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that discipline kind of mixed with that kind of, you know, that like borderline abuse. Not that you got to abuse kids, but
You know, now that I look back, I think you also need support from that. If it's you alone, it's tough because, and not from like the wife's perspective, but I think you need another group of people, another guys like friends or like my uncles were also pushing me. It wasn't just my dad. It would be my cousins would beat me up right after, and then my other cousins would beat me up. So it was a line of men that were like instilling this to me. And I think that's what made it a little bit easier for the relationship side of things. Because I'm like, oh, it's not just my dad. It's like all these other men are saying the same thing.
You just made a really good point. So I thank you for this because to me, I'm always very conscious about who's around our kids, even like my social circle, like the men who are around me who get access to my kids, like just by being around. I want to make sure that they're setting a good example too. You know what I'm saying? So when my kids see how I treat them, I want them to also see that there are other men who are like-minded.
Exactly.
So then it's not just me. And so as parents, we got to be conscious about who we surround ourselves with.
Agree.
But also like in general, like in business and what you do and what I do, it's also crucial who you surround yourself with. Before anyone cared about your work, what were you doing differently than everyone else?
So I was one of the first people, I think, in North America, not just Canada, doing what we call precision-based cutting now. That's kind of the term and language we use. So just so people understand, it's using scissors in a very technical way and cutting with scissors, but also using sectioning to map out the hair in a very custom tailored way. A lot of people throw that word, but like when I break down a haircut, I'm looking at the individual. Like when we break down a consultation, we don't put a cape on the person. Why? Because at the end of the day, we need to know how they're dressed. We need to know what their face shape looks like. We need to know what their work is. You know, all these things make a massive factor in the decisions I make when it comes to cutting. So that understanding was very new to people. So we actually got made fun of. When I started posting content of precision cutting and sectioning, people would be calling us section gods. You know, and the reason why was because they would just know how to do fading. And now we're like kings. I'll go on stage and like people are like taking pictures of me. But back then, it wasn't like frowned upon. Like it wasn't like something that people would look at and respect. And now the reason why I'm saying this is because everyone now wants to be a precision cutter. You go to a barber shop, it's almost like you're at a disadvantage if you don't know how to use scissors. So yeah, to go back to your question, I feel like we were one of the first people to know how to use this technique, and we were the first to ever teach it, but people didn't respect it initially.
Right. Did you feel that you outgrew your environment when you were in Toronto? The transition from Toronto to Miami, do you feel that you outgrew that environment?
Yes. It's funny you say that.
How did you feel that? Like how did that manifest?
I think it was like who I was surrounded by at some point. I felt like when I started off, because I go back and I look at my life when I was like 18, 19, when I made the decision, I felt like a small fish. I would walk into rooms and be like, I'm the worst one in this room. Like in a sense of intelligence, in a sense of skill sets, in all aspects. And now I go into a room and it's like everyone's cheering for me and asking me for advice. But I'm like, what rooms can I go into in Toronto? That's how I felt, where I'm like, I want to learn. I want to be a student.
Bro, that's so humble of you, because I want to say that a lot of people, especially a lot of dudes, once we get to a certain point and when we walk into rooms, we're the ones that everyone's coming up to and asking how and asking for time and asking to get a meeting. When we get a lot of men, when they get to that point, they're happy. They think that they made it because their ego's filled, you know. But for someone like yourself and for someone like me, I'm always trying to get into the rooms where I'm looking up to everyone there, because that's where I can learn. So good for you for recognizing that. I mean, it's one thing for me to know that at my age, but it's very advanced for you to know that at yours. In terms of your move, was it more like was it strategic or was it instinctive?
Yeah, definitely instinctive. You know, I was thinking about this today, even on like when I was driving here. I was like, based on the questions that maybe you would ask, and you know, I met a billionaire in actually Korea because I went there to do like an event and meet people and whatever. And he said that he's extremely calculated on decisions he makes in his business. And I look back in my life, and I'm not calculated a lot at all. Like I'm very much like an like all or nothing type of individual,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's worked out so far. Maybe it's not going to work out, or it is. But a lot of like the decisions in Miami were not strategic. We're just like it was like such a gut feeling of like I'm gonna make this happen and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make sure it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this was there wasn't much calculations behind it.
Yeah.
I just felt like this was a while though. This wasn't like I woke up one day I'm like I'm gonna make a move in Miami. Like I've been wanting to do this for like 2-3 years, and I finally said enough is enough. Like if I'm talking about it a lot, like if I keep mentioning, it's like what's stopping me at this point in my life with no responsibilities to do it?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. That whole thing about the no responsibilities, that's
Yeah.
huge. Like really taking advantage of your youth
Yes.
and the stage of life you're in. I think most creators underestimate the power of that.
Yeah.
I want to mention what I
And
think.
you did it too, but you did it even with a family,
I did
which
it
is
with a
even
wife
harder.
and 3 kids. Yeah. No, it was a stressful time. But I want to kind of articulate what I believe are your advantages, because I think that if you probably know them already,
Yeah.
but I think like maybe hearing it, maybe if I can uncover
Sure,
one or two more, it'll have you kind of navigating a little
Yeah, yeah.
different. So there's a couple of things, of course, a couple of things. And you already see it because I see the guys rolling into your place, right? Because you only take people, by the way, just to give people context, you're only taking like handpicked,
yeah.
curated
Yeah, yeah.
people. You don't have a bar, like
No.
it's not a barber shop.
no.
I remember when I first met you, I was like,
Yeah.
bro, you gonna have a bar? I was worried there's gonna be like a barber shop,
Yeah,
there's gonna
yeah.
be traffic.
No.
But you're like, no, it's only like curated people. So I see the kind of level of the people coming into your place and getting cuts. It's like that access to the kind of people that you have coming through, because you have people with large audiences, you have like entrepreneurs at scale, you have a lot of them are both.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you already feel it. You don't have that kind of access to the type of networking and connections like there is in Toronto.
No chance.
Not because Toronto's a bad place, but because Toronto's just not, that
Meant for the place.
infrastructure
Yeah.
is not as developed as it is here in Miami as like one of the main hubs in the United States, especially creatively right now for what you do. So I think that's advantage number one. Advantage number two is just the mindset shift, like being in a place where everyone's doing just big things all the time, especially living in the city. I think that's also a massive, advantage. And then the third thing that I want to mention to you that I think you're underplaying right now is Miami as a co-star, because you've been here now like a couple of months, and maybe it's already like the novelty's wearing off for you.
Sure.
But people all over the world know Miami. Like people all over the world have either said, I want to move to Miami or I want to visit Miami.
True.
Right? Everybody all over the world has said, I either want to move there or I want to visit there. Not a lot of people are saying that about Toronto, because Toronto's just not as branded as a city, and there's not as much excitement around it. So my suggestion to you is make Miami your co-star. Like get into the scene and like film, your content your stories in Miami, like stories about Miami and what you do.
Such a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, like you underestimate it. You're like, oh, it's a big deal. It's just where
Because I'm here now, right?
Yeah. And the thing is that the novelty fades for you over time. It just becomes like kind of your hood
like,
and where you live.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But to 99.9% of the people who consume your content from all over the world,
They're like,
this
wow.
is wow.
Yeah.
I'm always telling Valeria, like, we'll be driving somewhere. I'm like, hey, you want to get out and take like
Quick little thing about
let me take some
this.
photos of like
Yeah.
the sunset over like the bay, And she's
It's
like,
so true. And it's like when I first moved, the feeling was like, holy shit, I'm in Miami. And you're right, the novelty wore off as time goes on. And I'm like, I just live here.
yeah.
But for other people, it's like what you said. They're like more curious to know what it's like living in Miami.
Of course.
Because they dream to be there.
They dream to be there or to at least visit, but there's a novelty behind it. I made the comparison with like the Kardashians, you know what I mean? Like the Kardashians, they came up in LA. And so LA was always like very integrated into their content. Like it's so very clear. They're in LA.
Yeah.
Like when I look at your shit right now, I don't know that you're in Miami.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it too. People may not know that me and Valeria are in Miami. And so we're downplayed. But if the Kardashians were like in Ohio or some shit like that, I don't think they would have popped off. So taking advantage of that location.
I guess my question, given that you're in this space, like how would you introduce it? Like how would you make content around it? Like just going out a lot more and just making content about that?
I don't know, bro. It's like off the top of my head, it's just like at least as a backdrop, you don't have to talk about Miami, but at least as a backdrop. So most of your content that I'm seeing is in your studio with your, like I see it because you're literally next door to me, and then I see it on your Instagram. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're out and about, like, you should rip some content when you're out in the streets, when you're in Wynwood and when you're in Edgewater, when you go to the beach, like all of that stuff. So I think just like that natural integration, but I think that's part of the overall storytelling where I think you're undertelling you.
True.
We're going to get to it, but to me, you're a brand, you're a personal brand that's very heavy in your trade, and rightfully so. But I think you're missing a huge component about talking about who you are, where you live, what you do, your kind of philosophies on life that translate into business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's a whole style component, like your personal style, that, you know, with the tattoos and with the hair and with your clothes, like your personal style, there's stories to be told there too. And Miami can be a backdrop of that.
True.
That's just
such a good point.
That's just my take. That's
I know,
just my take.
and it's been mentioned, so I know what you're. I understand, and I mean, it's true.
All right. Okay, so look, at some point, this wasn't just about cutting hair anymore.
Yeah.
You started documenting it.
Correct.
Okay, that's a very different mindset. So my question to you is that, you know, most skilled people, they stay invisible. What did you understand early that they still don't?
I think I realized when I got really fucking good at cutting hair, that my prices weren't matching my skill set. And I was like, why the fuck am I not getting $100 client? I was charging still $30 to $40, and I'm like, I'm doing like unbelievable haircuts. And like logically, like I would look at the playing field and be like, this guy just knows how to do fade. He's just getting $200 clients. I'm doing all of it, and I'm doing it really well, and I'm only getting $40 or $50 haircuts. So that's when I made the shift. I realized that the skill set alone is not enough. Like, there's so many people out there, like soccer players. There's so many like people out there that have the skills but don't have the recognition, and they're just stuck. Like I always say, there's probably an unbelievable UFC fighter in Brazil that no one knows about.
Sure.
You know, so I had to invest in myself. So that was the first shift of realizing in outside of my skill set that I had to learn more about business, more about branding, and that's when everything kind of clicked.
You know, when I realized, I mean, outside of seeing your social media and your content and the proof in the fact that you have scale, when I saw it like in real life is when, like, maybe the third time you and I saw each other. And when you talked about your own skills, you found that correct balance between still being like having modesty and having humility that made you relatable, but also communicating to me that you're the best at what you do. And you did that in a way that it was very appealing to me. And when you said that, you also put your money where your mouth is, and you're like, let me do your beard. And the thing is that on top of your ability to communicate that to me, you did my beard, and you actually did do the best job that that's ever happened. So it's good that you don't have like imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? It's like, you know where your skill's at, you know what you're able to do, and your ability to communicate it is really good. And I think that's a lesson for all creators.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we got to talk about something else. $1,000. Okay. We got to talk about this $1,000 haircut. Okay. It's not normal. It's not normal. I'm not broke, but I've never paid $1,000 for a haircut. So $1,000 haircut sounds insane. So what are people actually paying for?
$1,000.
No, but what are they paying for at $1,000? I mean,
they're paying for my time, and that's the thing that people don't understand. Obviously, this doesn't cater to everyone. It's people that recognize the value. I just got hit up yesterday, and someone was like, can you do my 2 kids? And I just Googled their name, and I'm like, okay, this is the type of individuals that are seeing the value and wanting these types of haircuts. Why? Is because I believe my skill set in America as well is still quite unique. Not everyone understands it. And a lot of the times, it's not just the skill set. It's the way I like carry myself. It's my professionalism. It's how I communicate. If you look at my Instagram, look at my haircuts, the way I communicate the language of hair and how I break down a haircut is the reason why people see the value of it. At the end of the day, I could charge $1 million. I could go and say I'm charging $1 million. But if there's no clients coming to me, then am I really worth $1 million?
Right.
I'm getting people hitting me up all the time being like, I'm willing to do this. You know, I want to pay the $1,000. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's specifically because of the fact that I'm like doing the best haircuts in the world. But I think it's the full picture. It's the social media recognition. It's the way I communicated. It's my skill set. It's all of it together.
You know what else it is? What? Besides the fact that you truly are like a master at your trade, like it's the experience.
Yeah.
Because I was been watching some of your content, and I've seen the guys coming in, right? Like, and I'm observing, it's like you go deep with people, right? So like when the guy came in, and what stuck out with me about him specifically, he had face tattoos.
Yeah.
And so it just like it stands out. And you were talking with him, and he said that he was at a bar with a girl, and that, you know what I'm talking about? And he was like saying how like he looked around and he had like 6 other dudes with the same haircut as him.
Yeah.
And then you went into it with him, and you talked about it with him, and then kind of you had at it, and that was like a whole like hair makeover for this guy, because you needed to make him look unique. And so I think it's the experience that they're getting when they're doing it with you.
Plus, it's like what you said. I'm very much hand selecting these people. For me, it's not only the money that I'm making from the $1,000, because what people don't realize, I've built an ecosystem. Like the reason why it's 1,000 is also because my time is worth that now. Like I have my MRR model on Essentials, which is my community. I also have my high ticket, right? So for me to do it any less would not really be worth my time. Plus I got my educational travels. Like people don't realize I'm always traveling. I'm doing one-on-ones in person. I got someone from Israel actually flying in to do a class with me next week. So
you got to introduce me when they're
absolutely.
At your place. I'm assuming it'll be at your office.
At my place. Okay, they're coming down to Miami for the first time. So, and I just actually, funny enough, I'm also like educating myself. I just flew down someone, which I'm gonna make a piece of content from Romania. He came down yesterday for me to learn. And this is someone underground that no one knows about. Amazing. And it's like, he's unbelievable.
What a culture! Like you're uncovering this. Like there's this whole culture behind what you do,
dude. My videographer was saying, he's like, dude, I can't believe that this is hair. How we talk about hair, it's like how we talk about athletes, and how we actually carry ourselves is like athletes. Like I'm still training every day, you know, I'm still cutting, I'm still waking up and thinking about what's the playing field look like, who's the best, how are they doing it? Like when we do collections, it's like, it's the full picture. It's like, what photographers do I bring? Where do I do the studio? How do I do the collection? What styles do I bring? It's insane. Like I just did one in Calgary, and the guy I was doing it with, there was like myself and his name's Thaddeus. He did an unbelievable collection where I'm like, I wish the barbering scene was as big as the women's hairdressing scene, because that show needed to be at like a L'Oreal stage with like thousands of people. Like the way he put on a show, like he brought in like Louis Vuitton style of clothes, not the actual like Louis like branded, but it's like the level of etiquette is crazy.
I hear what you're saying, but I feel like, especially with where you're at, with the base that you've already created in your social media and the reach that you have, you can create this movement. Like you're already doing it. But when you're talking about getting like, you know, men's hair to like a place that's close to what women's hair is, with these massive stages. First of all, I think I see you already on stages, but you can with the base that you have continue to build this. So like these are going to be your stages where you're inviting people on. That's kind of what I'd be excited about in your evolution.
Well, to quickly, I know we haven't had a conversation in a while. Like you told me, like, what is your actual goal in Miami? And I think it was kind of like blurry. And I think as time went on, it's like very clear to me, like what needs to happen. Like that's part of it. But it is just building an ecosystem. Like I got the online education now. I got my clients, and a lot of the $1,000 clients, why it's hand select, is not necessarily for the $1,000. Like that's not really going to do much for me, because I'm only getting a few a month. It's more for the relationships that I could potentially build and see where that takes me, right? But the main thing for me is building that ecosystem where when I build the school, which is like what we just built, so you saw the stations, that eventually funnels me into getting the right barbers for me to open barbershops.
Absolutely.
Because then I'm not relying for schools to bring in talent, where I create the talent and I hand select the people in the shops for me. So then I never have to worry about, like, if someone leaves, I already have like a vast network of people that are willing to come and work for me.
What I want to mention something about these $1,000 clients you have, like the however many you have per month. I believe that the biggest value, I mean, the money's the money, but the biggest value is the connection. And it's not even the relationship, yes, but there's even bigger value. The bigger value is you keeping your finger on the pulse of what it is that the profile of this customer, the profile of this client, really understanding what they want. Because then when you go to teach other barbers, and as you develop your own career, having your finger on the pulse of clients who pay $1,000 and understand their wants and needs when it comes to their own like appearance, that's really where your value is. So you're basically getting paid to receive an education. So I also charge $1,000 an hour, but I charge, $1,000. I charge $1,000 for 1 hour of, and it's like our creator method members. They can do a one-on-one with me. It's $1,000 for the hour. And, you know, we go through it. And to me, the benefit isn't $1,000. The benefit is keeping my finger on the pulse of like what creators need. Just like for you, it's keeping your finger on the pulse of what clients, like what kind of high level clients need and want. That's the best thing that you can do.
What you said is so valuable for people. Like what you just said is important, because it's like you're looking at that hour of your time into like ways to break it up where you still get leverage from it. You're not just looking, oh, I'm gonna make $1,000 now. You're like, okay, what could I do with this hour on top of the $1,000? I could do this.
Well, I'll give you an example. I'll talk to somebody will do a one-on-one with me, right? And they may have 100,000, 200,000 followers as an example. And they're trying to get to that next level, right? By the questions they're asking me,
I know where this is going.
I can answer all of them. Like I'm already at that point, and not to boast, but like I've just been through that. I've been in business for 30 years and 10 years in content, right?
Yeah.
In content creation. The value is that when they ask me a question, I can now take that question and I can create like a whole lesson, or I now have the knowledge of what's going on in kind of modern day content creation. I understand what's happening with somebody who hasn't even started yet. They've got like 100 followers and they need to figure out how to break out. Yeah. I understand what's kind of making them tick and where their problems are. And I understand somebody who's got like, 1 million followers and they need to get that, I had someone, and I'm not trying to boast, like I had someone with 700,000 followers sit down with me for an hour. And then 6 months later, she had 1.3 million followers. And things really changed for her in a meaningful way, because it wasn't just the 600,000 followers; it was the business infrastructure, it was the quality of the audience that started following her.
Plus, potentially, those are clients for your one-on-ones. That's clients for this and that.
Potentially, yeah.
Plus, you're getting trained, because it's like you have your pulse on it. Like you're learning as you're doing it as well. You're like, okay, this is what, because you're always learning as you're being in the field.
Absolutely,
doing it.
But just like you, I'm not trying to scale my one-on-one business. I'm trying to scale my members, just like you're trying to scale your members, and that MRR, right? That annual, that monthly and annual recurring revenue. Another question I have for you: what had to change about you before you could actually start charging more?
I think just being consistent and disciplined. As vague as that sounds, it's like truly the answer. Reason why is because I felt like before I was able to charge that much, I wasn't as consistent, so I wasn't being as recognized. I wasn't being as something I brought up recently. I was like, trustworthiness shouldn't necessarily come from the actual results itself, but seeing if the person's consistently doing it.
Yeah.
Like the outcome is irrelevant. It's like, is the individual, like there's so many like content creators now. There's so many coaches. There's so many educators. Trust the ones that are doing it every single day, that are showing up every single day. Look at their stories. Are they going to the gym? Are they doing the right? Are they working on themselves? That's the actual answer on who you should trust. So I think it's like being consistent, being disciplined, that led me to just eventually get the outcome.
Bro, you just really blew my mind, because like I naturally, like whenever I go to the gym, it's like an easy content for me to capture, because my trainer, he'll just take like 7 second videos of me doing whatever I'm doing. And I do like 9 exercises per session, and I put it up. I didn't think anything of it, but to your point, I only was putting it up there, I don't know, just to give people context, but you just kind of gave me a new kind of motivation behind it, because you're right, it does show people that I'm disciplined in my life. It does show people, it brings them in, and it makes me more trustworthy, right? And so, but
you have to do it on
you have to, but I'm not seeing you in the gym on your socials.
I know, I should be posting a lot more.
You should.
That's my issue. I don't post it as much, but yeah.
But it's like a muscle. It's a habit. You got to get into it. Okay, I wanna break down your content. I want to get into your content strategy a little bit, because some of your reels are doing millions of views. Like I went and I sorted your shit out by like number of views in the reels, and you got shit with like 10 million plus views.
Yeah.
And literally a cutting hair. But you do it in a very like special way. Like I've seen your setup at your office. What are you doing in your content that 99% of your industry still doesn't get?
I think when it comes to the virality point, I think right now what I've kind of figured out is, honestly, you need good looking people for your content. Right. Like that's one of the main.
So why'd you invite me on the? No, I'm just saying. But that's why you didn't publish it. I got it.
No, the big one is that, like, if you look at my viral content, it's good looking people, and I use that as like the hook. So the hook for me is getting good looking people, and then now it's like, let me like spice it up with my skills. Because the way I cut is still quite unique. Like I did a recent video, 4.3 million.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that guy.
Like it was like a few posts ago.
Yeah, like a few posts ago. And if you look at the guy, very good looking guy. But if you look at the technique, that's where I'm like, I want to show the audience, I'm like, I ain't no regular guy that just did that. I did the entire haircut with a feather razor, which people are like, how the hell did he do that with a feather razor? And it's still, if you look at the outcome, it's unbelievable. So that's kind of my thing right now. I'm like grabbing good looking people and I'm transforming it using my skills, so people now recognize me as the authority and the credibility through the skill sets that I have.
Would you say your audience are mostly barbers or guys who want to be barbers, or like
It's
who's your
shifting
audience?
actually. I think I'm going more broad now.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly barbers.
Do you have a lot of women following you?
No.
No. I would think with all the handsome dudes you got going on, and
You
yourself,
would think that, yeah.
I would think that
no.
women would be tuning in just
No,
to see
and
the
they're
handsome
definitely not interested in me. I'll say that much. They're more interested in the models.
guys. Dude, I mean, you're setting yourself up because it's like you're like I'm seeing some.
It's
of
a
these
funnel.
guys. Yeah, it's like a funnel. It's like this parade of handsome dudes walking through your place all the time. In terms of transferring a trade, a skill into what you do, I want to kind of get into that a little bit because I'm trying to extract value from you in this conversation. And I believe that, and just to give a little context, I was telling you off camera, we have a member who's an auto mechanic,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and he had 15,000 followers. Him and I, we talked and he got into it and he really started putting some intention into it. The guy just gained 100,000 followers in the matter of like 2 weeks, you know. Shout out to Curtis. Shout out to Curtis. He's a good dude. I was just talking with him. He did, I think, kind of what you're doing, where it's almost like it's revolutionary to me to take, like, for someone to have like a traditional skill, such as an auto mechanic, such as a barber, apply kind of modern communication techniques, apply it to the world of media today, and to turn it into a completely different business model. Because as a classically trained barber, you're very capped. You know, I was talking about it in the intro. You're very capped in terms of what you can do. Like it's time for money. It's skill, time, money on the
Past the 100 is very difficult to scale. Yeah. But
Right.
even like your time, you have to be cutting hair to make money. Yeah, you're capped.
But you're capped.
You're capped.
But you're capped. But you took it into a completely different kind of, you know, realm. So why do so many talented people, regardless of their skill or regardless of their trade, why do so many talented people fail when they try to make content?
I think, dude, you got to be exploring the unknown. I know it sounds like woo and stuff, but like I'm constantly putting myself in such uncomfortable situations. I think the biggest reason is like once you get talent, the reason why they don't post themselves on social media, it's what we always hear. They're too nervous to be on camera. They're too shy. You know, they're not exploring and not taking enough risks on themselves, because at the end of the day, like why I've gotten so good at content, I'm sure you probably will attest to this, is that I'm not afraid to fail or be embarrassed. And I think that's just, you got to practice the muscle of being embarrassed. And the embarrassment doesn't come from other people. It comes from yourself. Like you have to be okay, because you are the worst critic. When you post a video, you're the one thinking it's the worst thing on the planet. But you have to practice that muscle, you know? And I think people are not willing to take that risk with themselves, because it's never about what other people are going to say and people judging you. It's never as bad as what your own, you know, thoughts are.
Yeah.
So I think the issue is like they have the talent, but they're just not taking enough risk.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You know, it's interesting because I see people have certain skill sets and they're not transferring it to social media, and it's such a waste.
Such a waste, yeah.
You know, I can understand it in the case of like a skill set, like let's say, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the most like uncreative skill set, like a plumber. It's probably not very creative, right? But when it's someone like yourself, you are in the business of like, you're in a creative field,
Literally.
And so when I see people who are who have creative trades or creative skills,
You have all the tools,
they have the creativity, and so it's such an easy pivot for them to say, I'm going to take the same creativity that fuels my day-to-day business and my trade, and I'm going to apply that into creating content. And now it's easier than ever to create content, because between like, I mean, carousels is one thing. That's just photos of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like, you know, and videos are so short and all the tools are there. And even with writing, now you have AI to help really fine tune your message. It's a completely different
You know what
world.
it is? I want to add something to this. I think it's also like cost of opportunity, right? They think that they don't need to do it because what they're doing and spending the time, whatever that is, like cutting hair or doing tattoos, is making them more money than doing content. They don't see that like at scale, that thing will make you way more money and create way more opportunity, right? Because initially, if you make a piece of content, what's the return of it? There's no return. You're not gonna make money off of it.
Not immediately.
Exactly. This is like, you have to see the vision and you have to see like years.
You gotta be long term. You gotta be long term. You know what I call this phenomenon? I call it living at the bottom of the funnel. So in any kind of a consumer journey, it's compared to a funnel. So the top of the funnel is awareness.
Yeah.
Middle of the funnel is affinity.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
building that relationship with the people that you've brought into your
Right.
ecosystem. And then the bottom of the funnel is the conversion, it's the
Conversions,
transaction that happens. So what's happening is, for the most part, and by the way, this happens with big brands too, everyone's living at the bottom of the funnel. All of their actions are
It's
mapping
based
to
on
making a
conversions,
sale in the
transactions.
moment.
Yeah.
And so to your point, a lot of the barbers that you're talking about, they're just thinking, how do I take an action now that translates into actually getting, booking a client?
Because that's all they know. They know
That's
cutting
all they
hair
know.
makes them money.
Correct. But if they sharpen their skills the way you have in content creation, in terms of like your lighting, your editing, your technique, all of the things that you do, and they started putting out content, and let's say for a year they put their head down and they started putting out 2-3 reels a day, then they're in a completely different world now, because then what's happening is they don't even have to even look at bottom of the
Right.
funnel, because I'm sure you're getting inquiries on a daily basis with
Literally.
opportunities that are monetization opportunities.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
But that only happened, what people don't realize, is years, of
course.
7-8 years of me doing it.
Of course. But what I'm interested in knowing about you is that I've sat down with venture capitalists. I've sat down with professional CMOs, chief marketing officers, at organizations at scale, and they're still living at the bottom of the funnel. I was in a meeting with a VC who had just his fund had invested like tens of millions of dollars into a business. I was called to do some marketing consulting. When I was sitting there and I was talking about a social media, this was before Valeria, this was like 12 years ago. And I started talking about a content strategy. I started talking about paid media amplification at the time. And when I had that conversation, I was the entrepreneur. This is actually a company that had just gone public, and I actually invested in this company. I had invested in this company. And so they brought me in as an investor advisor.
Right.
So I was already an investor, and they wanted me to advise on the marketing side. And so I was in the boardroom. I was there with the entrepreneur who had the vision, right? But then when the money people came, the guys who had taken this company public, it was a small cap. It was like on the TSX, Toronto Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
And I remember the guys in like the suits and the ties.
We're like, so
were
how?
like, for every dollar we spend on marketing,
We want $10.
We better make $10 in profit.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
That's not how the game works.
What is this?
Yeah.
Like, really, at your level, you're taking companies public. You're raising hundreds of millions of dollars for companies, and you're sitting here with an expectation that every dollar spent on marketing is going to result in $10 in immediate revenue. Bro, like, what planet are you on? What are you thinking? My point is that there's so many advanced people who believe this, but you, when did you start your social media?
When I was 19.
When you're 19, you at the age of 19 versus this dude who's taking companies public, this dude completely, and this was like a guy in his like 40s and 50s. This guy had no clue. You at the age of 19 understood the concept of delayed gratification.
Look, dude.
So how the fuck did you know? Like, that's because at 19,
dude,
at
19,
I wasn't that advanced as you.
It's so weird. It's like I go back to saying, like, I remember saying this clearly to people. It's like personal branding will be the biggest thing on the planet. At 19, when the language wasn't even being thrown. Everyone says it now. It's everyone says that language, right?
Yeah.
I was saying that at 19 because I would be cutting hair, and I'd have a freaking tripod here, and I'd be doing a haircut, and I'm 15 minutes late on the client, and my clients are pissed, and I'm the only guy in the room with 9 barbers. Like, why the fuck is this guy taking videos of haircuts at 19?
Bro, but you're an anomaly. You're an anomaly because at 19, most dudes are thinking, okay, I gotta make by the end of the day this much money so I can take this girl out on a date and whatever. Your long-term thinking.
Yes.
What I'm trying to get to the bottom of, because I'm telling you, like, I'm comparing you to these 50-year-old money guys who are taking companies public. I want more people to have this mindset. I want the 19-year-olds to think the way you're thinking. I'm trying to understand how the fuck you did it. Like, how did you have this? Because, like, I certainly didn't.
I'm trying to think, like, why and how. I think, I've always believed in myself. I think I go back to, and I hope this gives you enough insight to understand, like, why, but I've always believed the number one asset is always going to be me. Like,
Absolutely.
I could have decided at 19 to take some of the money I was making and put it into a stock. I could have decided to put it into real estate, but every single dollar has always gone back to me, and I've seen just a better lifestyle happen because of this.
Bro, I'm laughing because when you say I could have taken the money and put it into stocks and put it into real estate, I don't think you understand. Most 19-year-olds would be like, I could have taken the money and partied. Your alternative to the personal brand, and in your opinion, the inferior position would have been stocks and real estate. Bro, 19-year-olds aren't thinking stocks and real estate
Yeah.
as an alternative to personal brand. They're thinking of going to the club
Clubs.
and popping bottles.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the circle of people where we don't think that anymore, and that was another reason why I was able to like not think this way. Because like I say, I go back to like why I was so fortunate is like the environment I was in was barbers looking at this as like a fucking like sport. So everyone I was around was like competing to become the best. You know, this wasn't a random barbershop that were like, okay, let's make $3,000 out of the month and let's go party on the weekend. And I wanted to become the best. And the reason for this is because I was also very much an insecure kid. I was very much someone that, you know, was extremely insecure, but also, you know, I always say this on stage. I'm an introvert naturally. You know, being an extrovert is something I had to work on for years.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So I took my skill set and I used my skill set to build my confidence and to get more recognized to then be able to go on stages.
Yeah.
So I feel like whatever I was putting back into me was giving me exactly what I wanted out of life, to be more confident, to be able to be well spoken, to be, you know, respected.
Amazing. You know, I have my shit planned out about what I wanted to talk to you about, and it was interesting because I was about to like flow into the next topic of personal brand, but we're just naturally getting there. And so I do want to shift gears. I want to tap more into personal brand.
Sure.
Because I think for you specifically, and I talked about this kind of at the beginning, where I think that this is a massive untapped lever for you to pull, because me getting to know you in the exchanges that we've had since you and I became neighbors, and even before when we were texting, I don't feel that's represented enough in your content. I'm just giving you feedback.
I agree.
I hope you don't mind.
No.
All
I
right.
agree.
So do you think right now people follow you for your work, or do they follow you for you?
Good question. I would say definitely leaning for sure more on the skill set and the work rather than me personally.
Right.
And I think that is like what we keep talking about with my team is that shift. But this is where I think, hence why I would love your advice. It's like it comes back to the goals, right? At the end of the day, like I said, I wanted to build this ecosystem. So I'm always fighting with my team. It's like, do I double down and like share more of my stuff, or do I share more of my work? But I know like what you're going to say is like sharing more of your stuff is what builds credibility. And then that's what people will buy more into you based on that. So it's like, that's kind of what we're fighting with. And then it's like,
You got to stop fighting.
yeah,
You got to stop fighting. You got to accept the weave, right? And I don't mean a weave like women's hair.
Yeah.
Right? Well, maybe man, I don't know. You tell me. But like,
yeah, there's that too.
Okay. So weaving your life as to who you are, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, it's like, it's essential. And so where I think you're stuck is you're stuck in the conversation about what is my niche, right? And you and I were talking, we were talking about this like before we sat down. I think niche, the concept of finding a niche is already a dated concept. It's very like the last 10 years where everyone's like, I got to choose my niche and stick with my niche. Now it's evolved and it's now about a brand Bible. I was just on a flight back from Europe. Larry and I were in Budapest last week. We came back. And so I finally had her for like a good 12 hours and she couldn't escape. Usually when I try to talk to her and sit down for like a couple of hours to do something for our business, the kids or the phone or her friends, her mom calls. So it's like, you know, here we're on a flight, it's just me and her. And we sat down and we created a brand Bible for her. And so what I advise for you is you are right now, your niche is barbers and educating barbers, right? Because you have an education platform. And you need to then take what you have as a niche and you need to develop a brand Bible. You need to integrate your niche into the brand Bible, and that's like a whole exercise.
Sure.
But part of your brand Bible is developing who you are as a person, is your personal brand. So I just think you have a lot of untapped potential into getting people to invest into your work outside of the actual
Barbering.
act of barbering.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'll give you an example. I took our 11-year-old to go see Baby Keem. You know who Baby Keem is?
The artist.
The rapper.
Yeah, the rapper.
I didn't even know. Apparently, he's like Kendrick Lamar's cousin, and it's like, you know, and he's like a big deal. And we went to the Fillmore here in Miami, and I was just taking like kind of like
your little kid
my 11-year-old
wanted to go see Baby Keem.
Dude, you don't even
Holy
understand.
cow.
My 11-year-old, he's gonna be sitting here. We're starting a new podcast for him.
He's gonna come with chains soon.
He already has. Like, he has. We're Jewish, right? So he has his Magen David, you know, and he's like he's rocking it. He's proud, you know, and the thing's bigger than him because he's a little dude.
You're
you know?
11-year-old. That's crazy.
No, you don't understand. You got to go see the reel afterwards. When you have a chance, go see the reel. It's one of my last
You
reels.
posted it? Okay.
Yeah, I posted it. And so I took him and I was just taking some clips of us like going there, like my little talk with him before we left. And he was at the concert. Let me show it to you. We were at the concert. No, you got to see it.
I have to.
No, I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to show it to you right now. No.
Because I know who it is. This is like rap, like real.
No, he's like, that's a whole other discussion. Okay, so here's what I did before I show it to you. I did a mini vlog of me taking him to the concert. And then in the caption, I wrote my position as a father on what it means to expose him to artists with explicit lyrics. And I talked about the concept of like, if I prohibit this, he's going to get it either way. In this hyper-connected world, I can't stop him from consuming it. So I'd rather be there when he is consuming that. Correct. And I would rather explain it to him. I would rather,
be the one to guide him through it.
I want to guide him through it. Like him and I talk often about like art and the individual, like the art from the artist. You know what I mean? So the art, when you're expressing yourself like NWA did back in the day, like that's their expression. It doesn't mean that it's okay to go and talk about women in the way that they do. Yeah. It's not okay to talk in general about that. It's not okay if they're glorifying like smoking weed. It's not okay for you.
I've never heard that before. Weed. That's such a good way of putting it.
So what I told him is like, this is the fantasy. This is the art that they create in order to communicate with people, but it doesn't mean that all these things are okay to do.
And doesn't mean that's who they are, like outside of the...
Correct. Yeah. Listen, I also gave him a warning, and I say, if I see any of this seep into who you are, if I see you behaving in a certain way that I feel this music is influencing you, then I'll cut it off very quickly. But for now, we're cool. So let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. This is like... Wait. I just heard something. Baby Kim? He's not actually a baby.
Oh, it blew up.
This one? Yeah.
Who's he on the phone with?
We were just filming. But like, if you look at the caption,
amazing.
like I wrote this whole caption talking about my position on like kids and explicit lyrics is what I just described to you.
Yeah, genius.
So here's what I'm trying to tell you. Oh, bro, hold on. I'll just show you really quick. Then I took my 7-year-old for ice cream. We were gonna go see Hoppers. Yay. Anyways, like, same shit, And so the one with Ben had like 71,000 views and growing, which was like, I don't know, like 10 times more than I usually get. I'm telling you all this for a reason, so bear with me. Like, this is me just getting gas on my bike. There's nothing else to it. And even this shit got like 8, 9, 10,000 views for me, which is high. Here's my point that I'm trying to illustrate to you. My point is that when you're asking, what do I do? And when you're having this kind of internal conversation with your team and this like conflict that like you're kind of wrestling with this, is that identifying these moments, the same skill set that you have in terms of your artistry around cutting hair, your artistry about producing the content that you're producing, once you catch these little moments and you're always like taking like a little short video here, a photo there, a clip here, whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, you're just like, you know what? Let me tie this together, do a simple edit. Not even your team, just you. Like I do this all by myself. And that's where you get traction. Now, when you mix it with what you're currently doing, that's where it really compounds, because now it's like they'll follow you for your work, but now all of a sudden they saw this thing where you went to a concert or you got gas or whatever, like something, whatever, and you can make something out of it, right? So that's where I think, that's where the magic's going to happen. And I think you're currently, do you think you're under leveraging yourself as a personality right now?
Hard to say. What do you think?
Well, I think, I think you know my position.
Yeah.
I think you are. I think you got to be, for me, like, I just don't care. So I'll put up content about, content creation about my business, what serves my business goals.
I guess the question is, my worry is always like hurting the audience because they've been so used to this one type of content and they follow me for this reason. I wonder if doing that is very different for what they're used to, and then if that's gonna hurt.
So dip your toe in. Yeah. Here's what I think, and here's what I've experienced. Once you have a brand Bible, it's different. You're still in the niche.
Yeah.
You don't want to escape your niche. Once you have a brand Bible, here's what you do. If you want to be cautious about it, once you have that like multi-page document, and you want to, I don't know, man, like you going for a coffee, I don't know, whatever, like something like that, or anything like documenting your experience living in Miami or whatever, you take the concept, You take exactly what you want to put into that piece of content. If you have a script, if you have a caption, if you have like a verbal script, you put it all in to ChatGPT or Claude. You run it against your brand Bible and you say, how do I, will this work with my brand Bible? And B, if not, what should I change? And that'll keep you on track.
Right.
But I wouldn't be scared to evolve. You have to evolve.
Yeah, I have to.
You have to evolve.
Do you think it matters like where you distribute it? Like I know you put that on Instagram. Do you care about YouTube and?
Well, YouTube is for long form. So
yeah. So when do you make the decision of like shooting a different way and doing it for long form? I think that even that alone sometimes that hiccup in the thinking is like delayed. That doesn't need to be there.
I delineate, right? So before we used to do family vlogs.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
What happened?
And so, well, we just kind of outgrew it. And like also our kids were getting older. And it's actually interesting because we were doing great with it. We were getting like hundreds of thousands of long form views per video.
That's huge.
And Valeria got like 1.7 million followers on YouTube, which she still has. But now we're switching. And now our long form is a certain format, which is her podcast. And maybe occasionally we'll do a vlog if there's an occasion. Whereas before we were just doing it weekly and it was too much of a lift. It was just like constantly be filming in long form. I think for you, I would be doing kind of the short form, like what I showed you with the mini vlogs. With the long form, it's your podcast that you and I talked about is doing that podcast. I just look in general, I think, and I want everyone to hear this. Overthinking content is not just for the people who haven't started yet. For the people who haven't started yet, it just makes them not start. They just never start because they're just trying to plan out the next 30 years of their content, which never works. But overthinking, it also happens with people at your scale and your level of success.
Yeah,
I think that you always need to be taking creative risks. And part of taking creative risks, which by the way
is like getting less views, is maybe some of the audience.
Being cool with it. But look, you took a creative risk when you went against the grain and you went from like the mainstream way of cutting men's hair. And you described to me this kind of, more like not unknown, but a little more radical way of cutting men's hair. And now it became the norm. You took that creative risk. You could have kept yourself in that box and you could have been like every other barber in the world, still playing it safe. So it's the same. You intuitively knew then that you have to take risk. The difference is that was at the beginning of your career when you had nothing to lose. Now you've built a foundation and now you're trying to protect what you have. But it's hard to protect what you have while simultaneously taking creative risk to kind of trailblaze and go to that next level. Yeah. Bro, Madonna reinvented herself fucking like 100 times throughout her career.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, you're much younger than I am, so you may not be into Madonna, but like observing her career.
Like, no, don't be afraid of reinventing yourself and changing. Maybe it doesn't, not even, and also maybe it's not reinventing. It's just like showing more.
It's evolving.
Evolving, yeah.
It's evolving. It's evolving your shit because what's the worst that'll happen? Like, I don't believe if you tomorrow.
Nothing, I don't think there is no worst.
I don't believe if you're in a car tomorrow and you turn the camera on yourself and you talk about your experience of like, hey, so this is why I feel it's a good idea to leave your hometown, which you're familiar with twice. Right. So by you doing that, I don't believe that someone like you, like people who currently follow you are going to be served this piece of content. They're going to look at it and they're going to be like, fuck this guy. This isn't what I signed up for. I'm out. Yeah. I don't believe you're going to see a mass exodus in your numbers. So if I were you, I would start kind of taking that chance. I would definitely explore it. Like, dude, look at me. I started riding motorcycles 2 years ago. Now I'm making motorcycle content. Correct. And is it relevant to me? No. But I just I don't care. It doesn't seem to be slowing me down. And actually the people who follow me for content creation, which is all women, like they come, like when I meet them in real life, they're like, oh, so cool.
The motorcycle thing. Yeah.
So I wouldn't
conversation started. Yeah.
I wouldn't cite it. Okay. So look, I want to close this out, because there are people who are watching this who like, they feel stuck. Okay. So specifically when it comes to skilled trades, if you're skilled, but nobody knows you, are you actually valuable in today's hyper-connected world?
Oof, that's a tough one.
No, but it's a tough one because you kind of have to shit on a lot of people right now to answer that question.
Yeah.
But hold on, before you get into this.
I guess the word valuable, like valuable to the, that's
commercially valuable.
Commercially valuable.
Let's take the personal out.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, at the end of the day,
Is part of what you teach in what you do, is part of it content?
Yes, it is. It's a big part.
It's a big part.
Yeah, massive part. And the reason...
So thank you for that. I just want to say thank you for that. No, seriously, because for you to achieve what you've achieved with the combination of your trade plus the distribution with your content and reaching as many people as you do, I think a lot of people would gatekeep and a lot of people would say, I'm going to create would you call it a course or an
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
A lot of people would create a course that would teach like another person how to be a barber and cap them. But you're saying, no, I'm going to teach you what made me successful.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like,
and it's not only, and I'm sure you probably teach the same. It's like at the end of the day, even the skills of like cutting hair and personal branding is not enough. You also have to have a mindset shift. You have to be open-minded. A lot of these people have like limiting beliefs. It's like opening your mind to thinking in different ways. That's probably the start of everything. Even for cutting hair, I always say, especially for barbers, I'll go quickly on it. It's that a lot of these barbers, if you look at, there's a graph of like energy. A lot of them from an energetic log are at the very bottom. So for them to learn these skills, it requires a lot of energy. And a lot of them are in scarcity because they need to make the money to get more energy to do the hard thing.
yeah.
So for us, we need to build a little bit more energy for them to do the harder things. And a lot of them, it's like quick little tips and tricks on how to get more clients in the door. So they get a bit of a win. So then they have a little bit more energy to do the harder things, because learning precision cutting is extremely difficult. It takes a lot of effort, and it's like very taxing on the mind and on the body. But you can't just tell someone to go do it. They're not going to be able to. They need to be like creative. They need to feel like fulfilled, but they need to get to a point financially where they're not in scarcity, so they have more energy to do the harder things.
How much would you say, or is it important at all, your community, both like, let's say a virtual community or your like kind of in real life community, how important is it for barbers to have community around them?
Dude, it's
of like peers.
It's a necessity now at this point. Like for me, it's the backbone of who I am, and then also for them, they have a support system. Like I always go back, and I wish there was me back in the day. You know, I wish there was that support system. I got lucky that I had one mentor, but imagine a community of people kind of on the same mission. I wish there was something like it back in the day, because I feel like I wouldn't have been as depressed maybe, or as stressed. I think a lot of the stress is relieved knowing that there's other people in the same journey as you.
It's interesting because when I walk into your, sometimes when I poke my head into your office, there's kind of like, there's two types of people there that I see. There's your clients, who they're obviously coming in with a lot of bravado, a lot of confidence, the people that you cut. And then there's other like barbers.
Yeah.
And the barbers, like, they feel like they're part of a family. Like when I've seen you, you've introduced me to some of your, I guess some of your students, some of the guys in your program, who they've come to your spot and you guys are hanging out. And I see that sense of family that you're building. And yeah, it's so crucial in any career.
Yeah.
So I wanna close this out with saying that, you know, this conversation, it proves something important. It proves that you don't necessarily need to be a creator to win, but you do need something real. And in addition to that, you need the ability to communicate it effectively. Alexi, thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate
this was
it,
great. I'm gonna see you back at the office.
Yeah, exactly. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.